Manchester United reportedly agreed deal for Carlos Baleba, but can one midfielder repair that broken opening? Arsenal are tracking Julián Álvarez. Tottenham are still chasing Omar Marmoush. Tablo Sports starts with Carlos Baleba, where the medical changes everything. We start with the biggest claim, and the caveat is doing plenty of work. Manchester United reportedly agreed deal for Carlos Baleba as medical is expected. Carlos Baleba fits the midfield problem Manchester United exposed immediately. The reported agreement matters, but it still isn't an officially completed transfer. At £70 million, United would be buying a solution under enormous pressure rather than easing him into a quiet rebuild. The Independent reports that Manchester United have agreed a deal for Brighton midfielder Carlos Baleba, with the reported fee reaching £70 million. The Sun reports that Baleba is set for a medical. That gives the story more substance than a social media rumor, but the wording still matters. The transfer hasn't been officially confirmed, and there's no confirmation that the medical has already happened. That distinction sounds fussy until a medical, a contract, or a final document becomes the thing separating a club from a very expensive problem. Football supporters have seen this film before. The graphics arrive first, the celebratory edits follow, and then the paperwork is still standing outside the stadium in the rain. On the pitch, the logic is obvious. United's midfield has lacked intensity, ball-winning aggression, and protection for the defense when possession turns over. Baleba is being discussed as the major response, so supporters are already asking whether he can change the team's energy straight away. That expectation is dangerous. A new midfielder can win duels and carry the ball, but he can't repair every spacing error around him. If United's press remains disconnected and the defenders keep getting exposed in transition, Baleba could spend his first months extinguishing fires created elsewhere. Arsenal's answer looks more glamorous, but the question's more expensive. Arsenal reportedly maintained frequent contact with Atletico Madrid forward Julián Álvarez. Frequent contact shows intent, not an imminent transfer. Julián Álvarez could settle Arsenal's striker debate, though the report contains no fee and no agreement. The real question is whether Arsenal need a decisive central forward or another elite attacker competing for the same oxygen. Sky Sports reports that Mikel Arteta and Andrea Berta remain in frequent contact with Julián Álvarez amid hopes of bringing the Atletico Madrid forward to Arsenal. That's the confirmed part of the report. There's no confirmed fee, agreement, or claim that Álvarez has accepted a move. Arsenal supporters can see the appeal immediately. Álvarez brings elite-level experience, movement across the front line, and a finishing reputation that could make a strong attacking side even more frightening. After a strong league start, the move would look like a statement. But Arsenal need to be careful with the word solution. Álvarez can play through the middle and contribute in several attacking roles, yet his arrival would also give Arteta another major personality and another huge financial commitment to manage. A famous forward doesn't automatically fix predictable service. The interest is serious enough to watch, according to Sky Sports, but it isn't close enough to call imminent. Arsenal are pursuing an Atletico Madrid player, not revisiting his former Manchester City chapter. Atletico Madrid controls the situation and the club won't be negotiating from panic. The Alvarez story is fluid. Ezri Konsa's move is the solid piece. Ezri Konsa joins Arsenal from Aston Villa in £55 million deal. Arsenal have added Premier League proven defensive quality for a reported £55 million. Konsa gives Mikel Arteta reliable rotation and raises the standard behind the first-choice defenders. The signing creates selection pressure, which is exactly what a title-chasing squad should want. BBC Sport reports that Ezri Konsa has joined Arsenal from Aston Villa in a £55 million deal. This is presented as a completed move, so the framing is different from the Alvarez contact story. Konsa is now an Arsenal player in the current package, not an Aston Villa player waiting for more speculation. The football logic is straightforward. Arsenal have been building a defense capable of controlling games with possession, physicality, and recovery speed, and Konsa gives them another Premier League-tested option who can handle serious minutes. That depth matters over a long title race, when one injury can turn a settled backline into a weekly experiment. Supporters see the transfer as valuable competition for places, and they're right. A £55 million defender shouldn't arrive simply to fill a bench seat. He'll push the existing group, change the manager's rotation choices, and give Arsenal more freedom to protect players without weakening the structure. There is a risk, of course. The fee creates expectation before Konsa has played a minute in the shirt. Arsenal's recruitment is still addressing a visible squad need, which makes this far more convincing than a rumor built on a famous name. Tottenham are moving quickly, but don't guess the name they haven't been giving. Tottenham reportedly agree another summer deal as Marmoush talks continue. Football London reports an agreed deal while separately describing Omar Marmoush talks as ongoing. The unnamed player is a warning against turning two separate developments into one completed transfer. After Tottenham's 3-0 defeat at Brentford, the pressure for visible recruitment's impossible to ignore. Football London reports that Tottenham have agreed another summer deal, while talks over Omar Marmoush continue separately. The identity of the player involved in the agreed deal isn't given in the available evidence, and the deal isn't presented as officially completed. That uncertainty is the whole story. It'd be easy to attach Marmoush's name to the agreement because his talks appear in the same report, but that would turn two lines of transfer information into one invented conclusion. Spurs supporters deserve better than a mystery signing assembled by headline gravity. The timing still tells us plenty. Tottenham lost 3-0 at Brentford on the opening weekend, and fans are demanding changes to a squad that looks short of cohesion and control. A new arrival could help, but recruitment can't hide the performance problems that appeared in plain sight. Marmoush remains a separate conversation. Talks are continuing, according to Football London, so the forward's a possibility rather than a Tottenham player. The unnamed agreement may add urgency, but until the identity and completion are confirmed, Spurs still have a mystery deal and a visible team problem. Now comes the hardest replacement job in this episode. Manchester City to search for a new Rodri after Barcelona move. Rodri's reported £65 million move from Manchester City to Barcelona removes the organizer of City's midfield structure. Enzo Maresca says City will search for a successor, but no specific replacement has been selected. Replacing the positions possible replacing Rodri's control is another matter entirely. The Guardian reports that Rodri has left Manchester City for Barcelona for a reported £65 million, and Enzo Maresca says City will search for a new Rodri. That phrase captures the problem neatly, although it also sets an almost unfair standard for whoever arrives next. Rodri didn't simply sit in front of the defense and pass sideways. His positioning gave City protection when their fullbacks moved high, his calmness slowed dangerous moments, and his reading of second balls kept attacks alive. A replacement can occupy the same zone, but the team may need to defend and build differently without him. City haven't selected a specific successor in the supplied reporting, so attaching one name to the vacancy would be guesswork. The recruitment department now has to decide whether it wants a direct defensive midfielder, a controller who dictates tempo, or a player who lets the system change shape. City fans are debating whether anyone can reproduce Rodri's influence. That isn't nostalgia talking, it affects how the champions defend transitions, sustain pressure, and survive matches where the opponent escapes the first press. But United have a bigger problem than one transfer fee. Manchester United suffer shock 2-0 defeat at newly promoted Hull. The 2-0 defeat at newly promoted Hull exposed the intensity and readiness concerns behind the Baleba demand. Michael Carrick said United did some good things, yet the scoreline turned every midfield weakness into a recruitment question. One opening weekend defeat doesn't end a season, but it can expose a squad that isn't ready for its manager's demands. Sky Sports reports that Manchester United lost 2-0 away to newly promoted Hull City on the opening weekend. Michael Carrick said his side did some good things despite the defeat, and that may be true, but the result still landed like a dropped piano. United supporters aren't questioning only the final score, they're questioning the team's readiness, intensity, and ability to carry out the demands of the new campaign. When a newly promoted side beats a club of United size by 2 goals, every loose duel and slow recovery run gets replayed as evidence. That makes the Carlos Baleba report more important, but it also makes him harder to judge fairly. If he arrives, supporters will expect the midfielder to repair a collective issue immediately. Recruitment can improve the engine room, it can't replace preparation, spacing, and the willingness to run when the plan breaks down. Carrick isn't facing an imminent dismissal based on this evidence, and declaring the season finished after one match would be melodrama. The pressure's still real. United need the next signing to fit the tactical problem, because the bad start has made every weakness louder. Tottenham's transfer pressure now has the manager's own words behind it. De Zerbi says Tottenham are not yet a team after a 3-0 Brentford defeat. Roberto De Zerbi's assessment was blunt. Tottenham aren't yet cohesive or physically ready. The 3-0 defeat at Brentford raises questions about how quickly a rebuilt squad can function together. More spending may add talent, but it won't automatically create chemistry or solve a mentality problem. The Guardian and Sky Sports report that Tottenham lost 3-0 at Brentford in their opening Premier League match. Roberto De Zerbi said Spurs weren't yet a team and weren't in the right physical condition. That's the manager putting the problem in public. His comment doesn't prove the rebuild has failed after one match. It does explain why the transfer market feels urgent. Tottenham can sign another forward, midfielder, or defender, but each arrival adds another player who has to learn the distances, pressing triggers, and managers' demands. The Brentford defeat made Spurs look disconnected, and that puts pressure on recruitment and coaching. Omar Marmoush talks may continue, while another deal is reportedly agreed, but squad identity won't appear on a medical table. Spurs fans are asking whether more money can fix the mentality problem. That question deserves a serious answer, because Tottenham's next additions will be judged against a team that currently looks unfinished rather than merely unlucky. A brief update now, and this one needs restraint. Latest update on Missouri football running back Ahmad Hardy. The available listing points to a Columbia Daily Tribune update involving Missouri football running back Ahmad Hardy. The package doesn't provide the underlying development, injury detail, or confirmed status beyond that listing. The responsible headline stays narrow, because guessing around a player's health helps nobody. The latest item comes through a Google News listing for a Columbia Daily Tribune update on Missouri football running back Ahmad Hardy. The available information identifies the player, team, and publication, but it doesn't provide enough detail to describe an injury, availability decision, or diagnosis. This isn't the moment to manufacture drama around a young athlete. Hardy's status needs to come from the report itself or Missouri football before anyone turns a shortlisting into a medical bulletin. The update's worth watching because availability can change a college football backfield quickly, but the evidence here stops at the existence of the latest update. Anything more would pretend the headline contains details it doesn't contain. Liverpool and Arsenal are attached to two heavyweight names, but the evidence stays thin. Transfer News Live. Liverpool make Endrick inquiry as Arsenal chase Osimhen, transfermark. The Transfermarkt Live headline reports a Liverpool inquiry for Endrick and Arsenal interest in Victor Osimhen. The package supplies no fee, agreement, timing, or source detail beyond that headline. Treat this as a watchlist item, not a transfer announcement dressed in a red banner. A Transfermarkt Live update reports that Liverpool have made an inquiry for Endrick, while Arsenal are chasing Victor Osimhen. Those are significant names, but the available package gives us no confirmed fee, agreement, or details showing either moves close. An inquiry can mean serious planning, early market testing, or a club simply asking what a deal might cost. That gap's where transfer coverage sprints ahead of reality. A badge, a famous forward, and the word chase can make a possibility sound like a scheduled arrival. Liverpool's interest in Endrick's one to monitor, while Arsenal's Osimhen link adds another attacking name beside the Julián Álvarez contact. For now, the concrete consequence is competition for elite forwards, not two completed deals waiting for announcement. We end with a tragic story far outside transfer gossip. Wisconsin high school football player dies after suffering injury during game, WFRV Local 5. WFRV Local 5 reports that a Wisconsin high school football player died after suffering an injury during a game. The available package doesn't provide the player's name or further medical details, so those details shouldn't be invented. This is a loss for a family and community first, and football coverage must keep its human scale. WFRV Local 5 reports that a Wisconsin high school football player died after suffering an injury during a game. The available information doesn't identify the player or provide further medical details, so we're not going to fill those gaps with speculation. There's no transfer angle, tactical debate, or clever line that belongs beside this news. A young player's death affects a family, teammates, coaches, and an entire community that expected to discuss a game rather than mourn a life. The story deserves care because details may develop through official statements from the school, authorities, or the player's family. Until then, the confirmed consequence is devastating. A Wisconsin football community has lost one of its players after an injury during competition. That should be the final note, not sensationalism. Football can be theater, business, and absurdity, but moments like this strip everything back to the people carrying the risk. United's reported Baleba agreement still needs the medical and official confirmation before the midfield promise is real. The next update decides whether that $70 million shall per caps. Family here's Neil caps his bots and boys, Tinanats, and finally, United's reported Baleba agreement still needs the medical and official confirmation before the midfield promise is real. The next update decides whether that $70 million shall per cap is well bam or adds another layer of pressure.